to where they can talk about it. Are you a Christian Zionist? Also, I have to ask, does that exclude people from? Oh my goodness. Thank you for being Chatty Cathy in my live there, Rachel. You sent 500 comments in my live. It's wild. It's fantastic, guys. So, I mean, we people like to get pigeonholed into things, and they like to um, make sure that you are a big fan. Thank you for the follows. I appreciate it. People like to categorize themselves too often, and I feel like they limit themselves by putting themselves into a little bitty box. The same thing when people are talking about politics, and then they're talking about, well, I'm a Republican or I'm a Democrat and I'm this and I'm that. Let's leave some room for the nuance, shall we? Let's stop sticking with those party lines. I mean, look, I can get on here and I can talk about every little thing that this administration is doing that should incite droves of people. Right? But what good does that do if we can't come together as a society, if we can't come together as a people? I don't want to fearmonger people. What I want to do is inform people. I want to make sure that people are aware that we're not completely powerless during all these times and things that are going on. Hey, Misty, how's it going? We just have to be smart. We just have to be smart and plan. You can't just you just can't come at it from a sense of hate. Yeah, Charm, and I applaud you for that. I absolutely do. I want you to be a good, kind, and caring human, and I want to do the same. And that's why I do not care if someone is a Christian. Ooh, the Christmas deep clean, huh? It's funny because after Christmas, you always have the overflowing trash cans. Yeah, I'm not here for it, Misty, to be honest with you. I will find something else to do. But no, I mean, look, you always, we've got our neighbor, they recently moved in, and it's a young family. They've got like 2 bazillion children, and trash runs on Thursday, and by Saturday their trash cans are overflowing, and they don't miss the pickup. It's just that household runs through refuse like crazy. I don't know what kind of ecological footprint that these people are leaving in our small town, but it's substantial. It is an absolute substantial amount of refuse that these people are leaving behind. Yeah, dude, Birdman, I hear you. I've done that before. Sit down on the machine at the gym and accidentally sit on them. I've never sustained that position though. Typically, I shift, pull, and rotate. Oh, that's pretty cool, Misty. Look, I said this is a safe space. You can talk about whatever you want to. My question to you is why did you choose to, my arms are tiny, dude. I am. My arms are absolutely tiny. I tend to move them, quickly. Look, dude, I mean, I'm not in here claiming to be, Sam Sulnick or anything. Thanks for the follow, man. Appreciate it. Good morning, Jamie. How are you today? And to be quite honest with you, dude, I'm a tiny human to begin with. No, don't hate on him. It's fine. He's just trying to get a reaction. Look, Rad Lib, it could be. It could be. I've just got a ginormous head. Or actually, I think I'm pretty proportional for like my height and weight and all that other stuff. It's a big dome. Big dome. No, I mean, look, I'm not a huge guy. I'm just I feel like I'm just a normal sized human. Leftover beef stew for breakfast. That's a new breakfast choice for anybody, I think, right there. I don't know. I don't know if that's I mean, it's a lot of protein, I guess, right? Did you eat cornbread with it? Did you eat cornbread with your beef stew? Or is that just a country thing? Is it just a country thing to eat cornbread with your beef stew? Yeah, Rachel, I hear you. I need to get my wife to get in there and make me some breakfast. Absolutely cornbread. Oh man, just a good old homemade pan. I know it, Ron. It is. Hey, thanks for the follow. It is going to fall out tomorrow. You better pay attention. The silence after that, right? Yeah. Oh yeah. Ooh, I don't like cream of rice. Green Good Maker, it absolutely would be a good start. I feel like we have people who have bypassed the ideal of getting out and thinking, you know? Yeah, all it's doing, Ron, is just making us all sick. That's all it's doing. Ooh, yeah, get that cardio, Ben. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, she didn't even look at me when I made that comment. She did not even look at me. We moved furniture yesterday. Rachel decided that we needed to. Hey, Naomers, what's up? She decided we needed to rearrange our bedroom, so we got to do all that stuff. That was fun. That was fun. I always enjoy those types of projects. It was time for a change. What do you mean? Have I seen that guy in the White House? Oh, bro, I don't want to say that online. I don't want to say that online right now. Um, Everybody wants to hear it. Man, I don't want to talk about him. Yeah. Well,
that wasn't him.
okay, so no, I did say that it was that guy, but it actually wasn't. Oh, Rad Lib, there's always things to talk about, man. Oh yeah, dude. Apple user, I think you misdiagnosed me as MAGA. I'm not. I look MAGA as fuck. I get it, but yeah. No, I'll talk to you offline about that, instigator. I'll give you the deets. Oh no, yeah, absolutely, yeah. I just wanted to make sure you knew that I was not in support of this guy. It would be a diagnosis. A lot of people look at me and assume automatically that I'm just MAGA. I have people that come in and just, I mean, firing off shots, coming in hot, you know. Uh, well, Red Lib, to say that there's nothing to talk about, I think there's a lot of things that we could talk about that are productive, though. And I still, regardless of if DJT is in office or not, um, you we need to be looking at how we're getting our officials into office. We need to, and I don't care if I really don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. I really don't. Um, you know, I don't. But what I do care about is who's backing those people. To me, it's more of a fight between the top versus the bottom. And so, if you're running so I was speaking with a couple of political candidates that I'm trying to get on my podcast this morning. And I told them flat out, I said, I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. Well, we do. And here's the thing, we also need good conservatives and we need good progressives working hand in hand, because when you vilify the other side and you try to make it to where only the conservatives have a voice or only the liberals have a voice, you're doing the entire country a disservice, because when everybody's thinking the same thing, nobody's thinking. So we need that back and forth. We need that uncomfortable conversation. Drone cowboy, that's funny. So I mean, yeah, we right now, you can talk about MAGA falling apart. Actually, I feel like MAGA is splintering right now, and they're starting to create some division within that subculture right there, which is fine. You know, they are trying to. It's like when NWO took over WCW. You know, you had the Wolf Pack, and then, you know, so. But I want to talk about how we move forward. And it's important that we focus on how we move forward. It's important that we focus on trying to get the money out of the politics. And that's going to be that's a devastating move right there. It's hard to do. It's something that's going to be um, a struggle, to say the least. However, there are more of us. There are more of us. And if we platform people who believe in the same things that we believe in, then hopefully we can make a positive change. We can get people into office that aren't um, just in there to work for the corporate infrastructure, to work for APAC or whatever. We have people who have earned our votes by promising to work for us. And the reason we understand that they're coming to work for us is because we helped get them in there. We didn't just blindly put those guys in and hope just because they had an R or a D beside their name that um, then they would work for us, because that's not how that works. Um, yes, absolutely. Because they've been indoctrinated with the idea that if you tax the wealthy, then they'll just move off somewhere else where they're not going to be taxed. Yeah, I'm not for Trump, you know. No, I do not, Serena. I, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I like to call myself I hate to put myself in a pigeonhole. I hate to put myself in a box and say that, well, I'm just this, you know. Um, I'm for America. Absolutely, Ron. Make thinking great again. Well, I think it's just a play on the, you know, on MAGA itself. You know, I think we should make thinking great again. I think that, and look, I'll be honest with you, I'm misleading. Just looking at me, I'm misleading. No, you're fine. You're fine. I do believe in rights for everyone. I do. I believe that even if you're an undocumented immigrant, I do believe that you have the right to due process. And I'm not just coming up with that from a vacuum. I'm coming up with that from the Constitution, your Fifth and 14th Amendment. It's clearly stated in there. All persons. You know. So when I see that, and then I see people say, "Well, it doesn't mean this," you know. Um, yeah, yeah, Gordon. I think empathy is key. I try not to keep. I try not to make this an echo chamber. If you disagree with me, then that's fine. We can have a conversation. Just because we disagree about something doesn't mean that we're enemies. You know, that's how progress is made, and that's how bridges are built between people. We can't build bridges with people if we're constantly telling them that they're stupid, they're ignorant, whatever. I'll be honest with you. I will crash out sometimes, but um, I've noticed when I go into MAGA lives and listen to what they have to say, because I feel it's important to listen to the other side. I may not agree with it, but I think it's in. Um, yeah, it is, Mel. It's true. How about cream of rice? I'll take cream of rice over either one of those. You know, the well, I mean, here's the thing: people, you can say that the media hid the truth about Trump, whatever. I don't think they did, because to be honest with you, Donald Trump told everybody who he was long before he ever got into politics. He was telling everybody who he was, and people refused to believe that. Cheesecake is not a cake, it's a pie. I agree with you on that. Yeah, because I don't believe that MAGA is a side. I believe that MAGA is a cult. So yeah, I feel like MAGA is exceedingly un-American in and of itself. The things that they support blindly. So I'll tell you this: Benjamin Franklin said to see with faith is to close the eye of reason, and they have completely shut. They are squinting so hard because they're not looking at reason. You know, so yeah, I can be independent because MAGA is a far right movement. I am very much against that. Thanks, Tender Fingers. I love the name, by the way.
Stop it, instigator.
Why are you getting me going
I told him
on
you can't have any,
TPUSA?
so he needs- Sorry.
Well, yeah, I mean that's, and look, we can Serena, we can blame Ronald Reagan for that. You know, when he got rid of the fairness doctrine, now they don't have to show the other side. They can just show the side that they want you to hear. Because in most instances, whether you're watching a Fox Entertainment or you're watching MSNBC, you're getting a spin, and there's a reason behind that. It's because they want to increase that division. They want us to be divided from each other. I don't even call it Turning Point USA. I call it the Circle Kirk, because that's all it is, guys. It's a Christian nationalist organization that's getting in there, and they're trying to indoctrinate children to believe certain things, like, one, that there is no separation of church and state, right? I mean, that's the crux of the matter. You've got Governor Abbott in Texas trying to absolutely promote in every school this Turning Point Club, whatever it is. And why is that? Can you imagine the outcry from Abbott and the Christian nationalists if there was an organization like that was being put in that was secular? Can you imagine how upset they would be? So I don't actually follow news. I just kind of, per se, I check out Ground News. They're content creators that just post just facts straight up, just like how news is supposed to be read. Just tell me what happened, who did what, and when. Don't put your political spin on it. Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. I saw something the other day, and it was a TikTok, but it was true. People said that they mourned the loss of Ned Stark longer than she mourned the loss of her husband. Like, seriously, she's having the time of her life right now. And look, I'm not trying to defame anybody, but what I am trying to do is call out bullshit as I see it. And I see all of that is just a huge grift. They took a guy who the vast amount of Americans had no clue who he was. They took this guy and they turned him into a martyr. And now it's just, there's a huge difference between a Christian and a Christian nationalist. Yeah, Zeke, that's a good question. Why was she better than Triple H at SummerSlam? That's awesome. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. All of that stuff is so cringe when people buy into it, though, because for me, the problem is when you take someone's religion, someone's faith, and we have a vast amount of Christians here in the United States, right? We have a huge amount of Christians in the United States. So when you put yourself in a label as a Christian, whatever it is, they're going to flock to it. You can take the shittiest business person, the most feckless human ever, and if he puts a Bible verse on his Facebook marketplace picture or profile and everything and professes to be a Christian, people will come to him in droves because they think he's being honest with them. And it's manipulation over one of the most personal things that people have, and that's their faith. It's all marketing, Mel. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. When I see, I'll be honest with you, when I see a construction company, like one of those guys that comes in and does home renovations, whatever, and they've got Second Corinthians, whatever, on their in their advertisement, I know what they're doing. They're marketing faith to gain profit from it, and it's no different than what Turning Point is doing. It's no different from what the Heritage Foundation is doing. You know, there's a great deal of people who are leaving the Heritage Foundation and headed over to Mike Pence's foundation. And look, Demon Slayer, there's nothing wrong with loving Jesus. Yeah. What's my stance on it? Okay, hear me out here. I don't think that anybody likes Schmorshans. I don't think anybody's out there just cheering those on and hoping that a bunch of them happen. What I think is that there are that is medical care. I do believe that there are instances where someone needs that in order to save their life. Well, I mean, I'm going to agree to disagree with you on that. And that is another reason why they use that. It is so divisive. If you look at American stance on that leading up to the late 70s, it was a non-issue with most people. It was. I'm a fake Christian? Dude, I'm an atheist, brother. I don't know. You've slipped into the wrong page here if you think that I'm a Christian. I have zero problems with you being a Christian. I don't. Yeah. I mean, I do have a take about it. I believe that it should be easily accessible. But I also think that it's one of those things where there are ways that we could help prevent those cases in some. What I don't understand is, oh, I can give all the spiritual advice I want to because my knowledge in it is probably just as vast as yours. I was raised in that religion. I'm not giving spiritual advice. What I'm telling you is that there's a huge difference between Christianity and Christian nationalism. I've read the Bible 3 times. I made it through Numbers and Deuteronomy 3 different times. How many times have you done it? And to be honest with you, man, there's a vast majority of people that are uneducated on their religion in and of itself. And so they're easily swayed into believing that just because it has a Christian label on it, that it's actually Christianity. So here's the thing, liver lips. I allow people to come up sometimes. And when I do, they end up cussing out my wife or saying some pretty gross stuff on my live, trying to get me banned. I'm just not going to do that today. What they've done is they have taken the Jesus Christ and made him the tip of a spear to control and oppress people. What's up, JR in the box? It's not propaganda. I can actually show you receipts of it. If you think that Christianity and Christian nationalism are the same thing, then you've been indoctrinated, sir. Then let me ask you a question. Do you believe that the United States was founded on Christian principles? Hey, Miss Julie, thank you for that. It was not. And I can show you documents on that. If you read the Treaty of Tripoli from 1797, Article 11, first sentence in there, it said that the United States was not in any way founded on Christianity. It says that. And it was signed by the president at the time. Are you talking about the Jefferson Lies? That's a book by Barton. Have you read it? Because if you have, then it's trash. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that. What claim did I make? that the United States was not a Christian nation? I don't understand what claim that I made that I supposedly. They set this nation up as a secular nation. They didn't set it up as a Christian nation. Sure, some of the founding fathers were Christian. The vast majority of them were raised Christian, but their beliefs at the time tended to be deist over Christian. You are free to be a Christian. Absolutely. Good point there, Rachel. Yes. I'll say this, and like I say, this is an analogy that I did not come up with. This is not my own thoughts. So before people come at me, and I can't remember the guy's name who I heard this say this first. However, my right to swing my fist stops at your face. Like I can't hit you, but I can swing my fist all day, right? And it's the same thing with your religion. Your right to practice your religion, you can swing your religion all you want to, but you can't swing it into somebody's face. So it goes against the Establishment Clause for you to put the Ten Commandments up in every classroom in the state of Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, Texas, right? That's a violation of the Establishment Clause. Why? Because that is publicly funded, which means it's a government program school. It's a publicly funded school, so you can't put it up there. Yeah. So you can't do that. That goes against the Constitution. And the Supreme Court has stated that. All original 13 states mention God in the state constitution. Sure. I'll give you that. I did. What did the Constitution of the United States say? What did the federal documents say on that? And I'm talking about the Constitution. What did it say on that? "96% of founding fathers were Christian." Wow, that's some good math there. It's a very arbitrary number, but I don't believe you're right on that. You can have a private school, and that's fine because that's funded through private organizations. Now, where we're starting to muddy the water a lot right now is through these charter schools and these voucher programs. So these voucher programs are basically welfare for private religious schools so that they can funnel public money into them. That's what that is. That's a good question there, Tenderfingers. Can you list the 4% that weren't? Are you talking about the 13 original colonies there? Sure, they did. But those aren't the founding documents that found our nation. And see, that is something that is exemplified in the book, The Jefferson Lies by Barton. You should read that. You should read it. And then see what you're doing is you're hitting all the key Christian nationalist talking points as to why this is a Christian nation. It's not, though. It's just not. Am I right? I think she has studied this. So there were a lot of Masons, Freemasons, who were um, founding fathers. Benjamin Franklin was one, George Washington, um, Thomas Jefferson. It hasn't been a Christian nation. Now, is it true that we have a vast majority of Christians in this nation? Absolutely, it is. But if that were to ever switch and become a predominantly Muslim, wouldn't we now become a Muslim nation? Is that what would happen? No, I don't think that's what would happen. Boy, you guys are getting heated in this chat, man. I love it. I love it. The vast majority of our founding fathers were raised in Christian homes. That's true. These are the times that try men's souls. So you said that Thomas Paine was a Christian, and I want to give you some Thomas Paine quotes on Christianity. Since I told you I'd bring receipts, and here they are. So Thomas Paine on Christianity. Of all the systems of religion that ever were invented, there is no more derogatory to the Almighty, more unedifying to man, more repugnant to reason, and more contradictory to itself than this thing called Christianity. Oh, because he said, yeah, okay, I got you. I thought you were saying that Thomas Paine was a Christian. I was going to have my little gotcha moment there. Because that's not what it looked like in the chat when I saw it. I thought you were saying that Thomas Paine was a Christian. My apologies. Oh, I got you. I got you. Okay, I got you. I got you. John Witherspoon, Sam Adams, John Jay, George Washington, James Madison. Hey, thanks for the heart me there. Appreciate it, Espy. Good to see you this morning. Guys, thanks for the likes, man. I appreciate it. I don't really care about gifts. If you guys could just throw some likes out there while you're listening, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm not trying to grift people out of money on this app. I just I like to hit the likes. So yes, the slave owner. Oh, I hear you, man. I hate that you're having to work on a Sunday, dude. I know, right? Yes, I agree with you 100%. It's not true Christianity. I hear you, man. Those are the best days right there. It's almost like money for free, right? Well, and to be honest with you, though, I feel like in a way they kind of did because they put provisions in there to try to prevent someone like DJT from being in office, to be quite honest with you. I would say that true Christianity is something along the lines of, um, selfless service to others, to be quite honest with you.
Hey, Terry.
What's up, baby? Yeah, you can. So I'm going to disagree with you when the United States was founded as a Christian nation. And look, I'll be honest with you. Did the Pilgrims really flee here for Christian freedom or for freedom of religion? Yeah, they did, but they wanted to establish their own nation. That's what they fled from. And you can go back, you can read the writings of Cotton Mather, some of the other prominent Puritans of that time, and that's what they wanted to establish. However, the founding fathers were not the Puritans, you know, and the vast majority of the founding fathers were raised in an Episcopalian church. That doesn't look, I was raised in a Free Will Baptist church. That doesn't mean that I'm still a Christian today. If that makes sense. You can, as people grow, mature, and evolve, they a lot of times, most people, hopefully, they step away um, from the prejudices that they were taught as a child. And I'm not. It was a requirement. It was a requirement to what? To be a Bible believing Christian in the 13 colonies to serve as any type of position of power. Yeah, you're right on that. That was in several of the original 13 colonist constitutions. However, it's not in the current constitution, the one that we uh, prescribe to today. And Chief Petty Officer, what I'm going to say to that is that at what point are we following the current constitution, or are we just trying to go back in time and look? It sounds like the that argument right there is coming from a book by a guy named Barton, who wrote the Jefferson Lies, which is a big Christian nationalist talking point. Even though that book, The Jefferson Lies, was riddled with so much misinformation that Nathaniel, the Christian publishing company that book was published under, redacted that book and sent out apologies. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you for my hat. So when a Christian publishing company pulls out a Christian nationalist book and says, you know what, we're going to step away from this, we're disavow this book because there's a lot of blatant lies in the Jefferson Lies. And there are. And all it is propaganda to make people believe that one of two things. One, that this country was founded as a Christian nation. We can go back, and you're probably a learned man. What's a fact? That it was established as a Christian nation? Well, no, it actually wasn't. And I can show you documentation that proves that. It was not founded as a Christian nation. You can read the Treaty of Tripoli, Article 11, and it'll tell you right out that this was never established as a Christian nation. In no way was the United States founded as a Christian nation. Oh, thanks, Savage. I appreciate that, Savage. It's very nice. And I think they intentionally established this as a secular nation for the simple fact that they didn't want people to be persecuted for practicing their own religion in the manner in which they wanted to practice it. I don't have a deep fear and hate of Christianity, not at all. I do have a fear and hatred of Christian nationalism. Because Christian nationalism in and of itself is toxic. What you're saying is that the only people who should be in power are people who prescribe to the same imaginary friend that you do. That's what you're saying. And you think Christians assimilate with other cultures? I mean, you're literally talking about the colonization of Christianity, and you're sitting there saying that Christianity assimilates with the rest of the world. I mean, isn't isn't that the purpose of manifest destiny? To perpetuate your will onto other people, to spread your religion to the masses across the globe, to colonize them, which is basically what colonization is. I mean, am I wrong on that? We vilify people with a different religion to what end? The amount of wars that has been started over people saying this is my, how is it completely different? Because it's the religion you subscribe to, it's the religion that you were born into. I mean, how fortunate are you that you were born at the right place at the right time in history under the exact right religion? I mean, Christianity tells you that it's okay to have slaves. There's even words from God that tells you how to be a good slave master. There are teachings in the Bible that tell you how to discipline someone who gets out of hand, who is not a Christian, who is not doing the quote unquote correct things. There are instructions on how to deal with someone who uh, violates the Sabbath, touches the skin of a dead pig. There's all these things that are in there that tell this, but you're saying that you're supposed to, you can't support Islam because although it is another Abrahamic faith, and to be honest with you, Abraham is an amalgamation of different things. Never even an actual person, which would mean that the covenant is not real. Moses wasn't a real person either. So I've just destroyed the three Abrahamic faiths right there because, and then at what point does Jesus not even matter? Is it important to me what that these people didn't exist. It should be important to everybody who prays and worships a God that came from the Canaanite pantheon. Adonai came from the Canaanite pantheon. You can look these things up. It's historical record. I'm not trying to bash faith. I'm just telling you, you should know what it is that you're worshiping. I'm just saying, if show me the evidence that Abraham was a real person, because that's where the Abrahamic faith come from, right? It comes from the covenant that Abraham had with Adonai. No, I'm saying that all of it's not okay. Thank you, Jester. Absolutely. What I'm saying to you, though, Chief Petty Officer, is this: if your religion promotes inhumane activities, why is it that you are bashing another religion that's promoting inhumane activities? Shouldn't we, if you find that that is inhumane, what they're doing, shouldn't you first scope out what you're doing as well? Matthew 7:1-3, judge not lest you be judged. Shouldn't you be trying to dig that? Should you not be worried about the mote in your brother's eye when you have a log in yours? I mean, to sit there and think that slavery is completely dead in the United States is wrong. To think that Christians are incapable of harboring slaves is again. Because what do we think about our privatized prisons right now? Is that not a form of slavery? Are our privatized prisons not a form of slavery? Why is it that African Americans make up 13% of our population, but make up over 80% of our prison population? Do you think that that's just by chance? Do you think we just lucked into that? No, I think that there's some systemic racism that's brought into that. I feel like that there's a lot of issues with that. But what makes them different than a slave? They're imprisoned. They have to work, and who are they working for? Some guy that owns the prison who's making money hand over fist because now he doesn't have any labor overhead. Sure, he has to clothe and feed them. Man, you guys think that black people just commit more crimes? Or do you think that it's possible that maybe they're being profiled? Do you think that at any point in time there is some sort of systemic issue to where black people are maybe looked at a little bit harsher? And also, look, Jester brought up a good point. When you have an impoverished community, when you have people who are being, I mean, just look at our education system in and of itself, right? What drives the funding for our educational system? People who own property, right? If you don't own a lot of property, you're not going to have a whole lot of revenue going into those public schools, right? So in areas where you have urban development housing and things like that, how well do you think that those schools are being funded? Do you think that they're going to get the best of everything? No, you're not. But you know what schools are? The ones where the wealthy property owners are. Those schools are going to be vastly, greatly enhanced by the people that are going to those schools and those kids' parents. So if you look at the United States' education department versus, let's say, Sweden's education department, in Sweden, you can't tell a wealthy neighborhood from a poor neighborhood because all those schools get equal funding. All those schools have the same equipment. Those schools, because Sweden wants to invest in the educational system of its populace, they want people with critical thinking skills. If you've ever met someone from Sweden, they seem vastly more intelligent than we do. And the reason is because they weren't indoctrinated in an American education system. Our education system is trash. So do you think that people who are being more poorly educated have the same chance of thriving in our nation than those that are coming from better schools? And that's a piece of systemic racism that I'm talking about. No Child Left Behind is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I'm not a fan of it, and I'm not a Democrat either. So I know, yeah, I'm against No Child Left Behind. But I look at it though, honestly, Chief Petty Officer, I look at it like this: our education system needs to be reformed. We need to look at other countries and the way that they're innovating their education systems, and we need to catch up. We're using the same metrics, the same systems that we've used for 100 years. And I think that was Laura Bush that put in No Child Left Behind. Michelle Obama was trying to change the way kids eat. She was trying to work on the lunch school program, and she got huge backlash from the FDA. Why are you against No Child? I'm against No Child Left Behind for the simple fact that it does actually leave children behind. Instead of getting educated, they're just passing kids through. They aren't holding kids back and making sure that they catch up and have that they're meeting the standards. They're just pushing those kids forward. They're not holding kids back. Sunshine, I believe that's right too. So how do we fix our education system? First thing I think we could do is to try to make sure that we're equally funding each school. We need to get rid of things like the LEARNS Act in the state of Arkansas, where we're funneling public funds into private institutions as a means of uh, welfare. If you want to send your child to a private Christian school, so be it. So be it. You can indoctrinate them however you want to, right? However, you need to pay for that. If the church is not paying tax, then the church can fund that school for you. Well, I don't think that. Well, first of all, we knew he was going to crash the Department of Education, 100%. And just so that you know, it's the Heritage Foundation that is behind the things like the Learns Act and these voucher programs for these charter schools. We knew he was going to do that when he appointed Linda McMahon. It's all a show. So they are destroying the Department of Education. But I feel like there needs to be some federal mandates as far as education goes. I feel like we need to pull away from funding those strictly through property ownership, right? Yeah, she brought the smack down to education with that A1 sauce. He did run on eliminating it. He did. And I mean, come on, guys. Has that helped us out? Has the destruction of our education system, and look, I'm not even just talking about Trump, I'm talking about throughout the past 3 decades. What has that done to, we have a less educated populace now. We are now a nation void of critical thinking. We are a nation where education is being ridiculed. And I'll be quite honest with you, at no point in time in my life have I ever seen a problem to where I thought more education hurt that problem. Education helps, guys. Well, the less educated issue started actually more so with Reagan. And honestly, that's what our school system is set up to do, is to make kids good workers. You got to show up on time every day. You've got to raise your hand, be quiet. If you look at, and there's some documentaries out there that are pretty insightful in regards to education systems across the world that far surpass what we do in the United States. Yeah, Bobby. I mean, we could go all that way back if we wanted to. I'm talking about the modern era. You know. Randy, I would tend to agree with you, except DJT said, "Hold my beer." Watch this. Look, you have the right to indoctrinate your kids however you want to indoctrinate them in your home. You can take them to church. You can send them to a private Christian school if that's what you choose to do. Nobody's saying that you can't. Nobody's trying to take that right away from you. At no point have we ever gone down the chain and said, you can't have God in school. God wasn't ever in school because this was established as a secular nation. Sure, they do. Their classroom sizes is quite smaller. They're paying higher pay to their teachers. because they're privately funded. I don't have a problem with, private schools test scores tend to come up, but they're not held to the same standards that public schools are either, as far as your standardized testing and things like that. It's hard to blame the teachers when their supply system is limited. Do you understand? Why are we just teaching the test? And in many states, that's the metrics. The way we're funding our teachers is insane. And then to pull money from an already struggling public school system to grant welfare, basically, to people who want to send their child to a Christian school, is lunacy. Exactly. Absolutely. We should look at other countries. We should look at Finland. We should look at Sweden. Exactly, SB. Yeah, I mean, they do have a smaller population. Absolutely. You're right. They do. So you're saying that because of the size of our country, we can't provide better education systems? I mean, I just want to pull this up. So education rankings by country. Okay. That's what I'm pulling up here. Socialism won't work here. I guess you don't call the cops when somebody's breaking into your home. Or when your house catches on fire, you're not calling the fire department, right? I mean, honestly, is that not a socialist? Um, is that not a form of socialism? The U.S. is ranked 31st in the world. So a public service is not socialism. It's weird. '31st isn't bad, but we talk about Finland. Finland, South Korea is first. Yeah. Finland's eighth. Belgium's fourth. Denmark's third. I mean, there's a lot of countries in there. However, China is 13th. China is 13th, my guy. and they have way more people than we do. So from 31 to 13, that's the difference between China's educational program and us. Oh God, who is last? Let's see. Qatar, however you say that, is 91st. Brazil is 145th. Thailand's 107. Cyprus is 163rd. 163rd. Lebanon is 174th. Jesus, guys. Congo. The Congo is dead last. But I have a question for you, though. Why is it that these socialist programs you talk about are okay for Israel, but they're not for the United States? Why is it that we're funding Israeli socialism? Absolutely. AIPAC? No, I wouldn't accept anything from AIPAC. And I don't platform people that do either. So when I have someone who's running for political office, that's the first question I ask them. Who specifically funds your campaign? That's what I want to know. And why anybody would support anything that NF says or does is no, I am not running for political office. That's why we don't have, to be honest with you, the real reason that we don't have universal health care is because they have perpetuated this ideology that American exceptionalism would not allow for. We're so great of a country that we have to privatize our insurance. We're so great of a nation, so great of a country that we have the vast majority of Americans who file bankruptcy because of medical debt. And they're okay with that. I don't know why anybody would accuse me of taking AIPAC money, but I absolutely never would. And to be honest with you, they wouldn't want to pay me anyway. As much shit as I've talked about AIPAC on all platforms, guys. I got into an argument with a gentleman. I say an argument, it was a discussion. We were talking about it, and he was telling me that we had to support Israel no matter what they did because it's biblical. Well, first and foremost, let me tell you something. The nation of Israel today is not the nation of Israel in the Bible. It's not. When Abraham made the covenant with God and the Israeli people, when the Jews were begging God for a king, God said, "You don't need a king, you've got me," right? 100%. Hey, Snacks, what's up? Finally, God caved, and he said, "I tell you what, I'll let you have a king, but I'm going to name the prophet. Tell me who Bibi Netanyahu's fucking prophet is, and I'll tell you. When you can tell me who his prophet is, I'll tell you that is a biblical nation of Israel." Same, Battle Raven. The only reason that I care about Israel is because they're absolutely terrorizing a marginalized group of people. And that's the only reason why I give a shit about Israel, is because look, in the United States, we're all lovey-dovey with them, right? The oppressed became the oppressor. Absolutely, they did. I can't say that on live, Randy, or I would. Profit equals profit. I like that. Well, it's one of those FAFO, right? Everybody wants to talk about that. Why do you think it is? It's the same reason why Iran hates the United States. They don't hate the United States because of our freedoms. That's a lie. No, I don't think it was an honorable act, but I'll say this. If you oppress people to a certain point, if you're keeping them in an open air prison, whatever it is, and they finally retaliate, can you really be that mad at them about it? I mean, it is what it is. Now, do I support Hamas? No, absolutely not. I don't support any terroristic organization. I don't. However, what I do support are the people who are calling Israel out for the inhumane activities towards these people. I have seen live, as it was happening, Israel putting out a message, we're fixing to send bombs here. And then as people were fleeing, attack the path with which they were trying to get there. I have seen that. Here's what I believe as far as Hamas goes. I believe that Netanyahu fully keeps Hamas upright. Yeah, they have. They absolutely have. And they hide behind the United States in order to do that. We fund that, guys. Just to let y'all know, we are the ones that fund that. Thanks, Rose. I appreciate it. I try to. Well, here's the thing with the administration that's currently there. We have someone there who does not like criticism, who can't handle it. He has a very sensitive ego. It must be stroked at all costs. That being said, for someone who is such a staunch supporter of the First Amendment and the right to free speech, he sure has made quite a few executive orders to make sure that people aren't given that freedom. If you speak ill about Christianity, that you could be, I'm probably on a list somewhere, and that's fine. But I'm going to stand on the Constitution. I have the rights to, and look, don't get it twisted. It's not all sunshine and rainbows over there at the DNC either. Well, Denzel, that's kind of my message here. If there was an actual message from this pulpit right here, it would be this: we must, the only weapon that we have are our votes, right? And we need to give details and specific laws about what? What are we talking about? So when we're voting, we can. So look, we have elections coming up right now. I'm not saying that Trump's making people lie. I don't know. Have you ever watched one of his cabinet meetings that they televise? I've never seen a president get glazed in the donut so much as that right there. That is blind loyalty. That is bending the knee, worshiping the king. Oh, not allowing free speech? Okay. Executive Order 14202. This is from govinfo.gov. Eradicating anti-Christian bias. Also, you do need to look at something that's out there that's just more easily accessible. Is Brendan Carr is part of the Heritage Foundation. He is also the chair of the FCC, appointed by Donald Trump. He said publicly when he was nominated by Trump that he is excited to put in place the agenda of DJT. How is that cool, guys? Hey, D Ray. Northeast Nebraska. Nice. So, this eradicating anti Christian bias, it's very broad in terms of what it says. Oh, thank you, baby. She brought me breakfast, guys. But it's broad because then it can be interpreted however they want it to be interpreted. Does that make sense? Look, if I wanted something, I wouldn't put the I mean, to be quite honest with you, our Constitution is also broad in terms, you know? She made breakfast great. She made a great breakfast again. How about that? Yes. My wife is fantastic, guys. I am kind of spoiled, guys. Well, and I say this, people think that I'm putting on my tinfoil hat and everything, but the main objective of Christian nationalism right now is to eradicate amendments 11 through 27 and go back to the original Constitution. Imagine the ramifications of if that were to happen, if that were to come to pass, if they were able to get their way, right? Look at the things that this administration has been able to accomplish in regards to fulfilling Project 2025 in the 11 months that they've been in. Well, Red Pill, I'm not surprised that you're a Christian nationalist. So what happens if we don't have amendments 11 through 27? First and foremost, it means that Donald Trump can run for a third time. Not a problem. Basically unopposed. Why do I say unopposed? Barack Obama is not going to be able to run. And why is Barack Obama not able to run? Excuse me, guys. Sorry about that. Hold on. Because Barack Obama is now officially 3/5 of a human. Women won't be able to vote. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Slavery is no longer illegal. once again relegated to mere property. And look, it's not me that's saying this. I didn't just make this up out of a vacuum. Listen to Steve Bannon. Who are they going to revolt against? I mean, seriously, if it reaches that point, well, what are you going to fight against? I've been saying for years, if ever there was a World War III, it wouldn't be the U.S. and the Allies against the Axis powers. It would be the world versus the United States. Well, do you even understand what the tenets of Christian nationalism are based off of? In its earliest forms, it came from this thing called the Powell Manifesto. You should look that up. Give it a read sometime. And then that spawned a writing known as the Seven Mountain Mandate, which says that in order for Christianity to maintain its power in the United States, it has to infiltrate 7 key aspects of American society. And this is the scary part, guys. They've got a 40-year head start on us. Do you think that Project 2025 was the first mandate that they wrote? No. Yeah, I'm talking about it as far as like, I'm basing it from Reagan. I know they got their fingers wet a little bit in the Nixon administration, but Reagan's where they really were able to set their foot in, get in that door. And to be quite honest with you, it's our fault. It is our fault. We allowed ourselves to be so propagandized, and specifically our boomer generation was very much propagandized. Because we feel like we have so many roadblocks in place, we'll never allow this to happen. But those roadblocks have been in place, and those have been strategically removed for years and years and years. Think about all the things that have hurt us as a nation. One of the first things that totally killed our ability to come together as a people was getting rid of the fairness doctrine. Now people are so inoculated with information on both sides. We feel like our side is the only side that's right, or whatever. And that's not necessarily the case. I mean, yeah, the Federal Reserve, or the Declaration of the Federal Reserve was a huge part of that. Jimmy Carter became president about 20 years too early. That's why it's so important that we fight the hard fight. And look, I'm not a Christian. I've said that several times in this live stream, guys. But if you are a Jesus believing Christian, we need your help. We need you to meet these guys head on, and we need you to have an uncomfortable conversation with people who are perpetuating the ideology that the United States is a Christian nation and was established as a Christian nation. You need to study and know. The reason that I'm so confident and I can get up here and so confidently speak on this subject right here is because I've actually studied this subject for a while now. I saw that it was an incoming threat back early on in this last election cycle. So I wanted to do a deep dive on the Heritage Foundation, find out where they were from, what they were doing. You know? And I'm not telling you guys this to scare you. I'm not trying to fearmonger. Remember in the 80s when with the old G.I. Joe commercials and they'd come on with the public service announcements and they would say, and knowing is half the battle. I just want you guys to know. That's all I'm trying to do. And I'm sorry I'm eating breakfast in front of y'all. One of the biggest problems that we face right now, though, is that the pandemic that rolled through back in 2020 really propagandized people. Actually, I'm more anti-Christian nationalism than I am Trump because I realize that Donald Trump is nothing more than their puppet. Peter Thiel and, what's his face? Stephen Miller. Those are the ones that are pulling the strings on him. And Trump's just too arrogant to realize it. Now, I will say this. Look at, if you think that I'm full of shit, and it's fine if you do. If you think that I'm full of shit, I want you to go back and look at Trump's first administration. The man was basically just slinging shit up on the wall and seeing what stuck, right? He was handed a really good economy by Barack Obama. And look, you can argue that. You can say Obama was the worst president of all, whatever. I don't care. But if you go and look at the metrics of our economy, it was a booming economy at the time he handed it over to Trump. Basically, Trump had to just keep both hands on the wheel and keep it between the lines. The only real crisis that he faced outside of crashing the oil and gas market in 2018, and that was Trump. Go look at the OPEC deals. Go look at the waivers that he granted Iran. Go look at the deal he made with OPEC to increase production to drive the price of oil down. Look at the 134 oil and gas companies that went bankrupt. Look at the 13 refineries that we lost all under Trump. The oil and gas crash rests solely on him. Gas prices up through 2022 were high primarily because he had made another agreement because OPEC flooded the market. He had made an agreement with OPEC to decrease production up until 2022, in which he did. And luckily we had enough ducts in place to be able to go and pump the most oil that the United States has ever pumped in 2023 and 2024. That's the only reason that gas wasn't $5 a gallon. But his first administration was pretty much feckless. It was pretty much neutered. Then the pandemic hit, and everybody saw that it was over his head. That's why he lost the 2020 election. When he comes back in 2024, though, guess who's backing him? The Heritage Foundation. And if you think that the Heritage Foundation isn't key players in this administration, all you have to do is go and just Google how many co-authors of Project 2025 are currently in lead roles in this administration. Chief Petty Officer, do you think that could be do you think that could be he was handed a pretty good economy walking in? Oh, yeah. Y'all are excited right now because gas prices are super low, and they are pretty low right now. I'm not complaining about it. However, I know what's happening. OPEC is flooding the market, driving the price per barrel down. And what it's going to do is it's going to neuter United States oil and gas companies. Why do I think? Because what's going to happen is once they've neutered our oil and gas companies to a certain point, they're going to decrease their production, which is going to raise the price of oil per gallon, the per barrel, back up above what it was. And now we're going to have more demand, less supply. And that's what's going to happen. Call me a prophet, dude. I'll be honest with you. During the pandemic, I kind of started doing deep dives into oil and gas, and I'm not an expert, don't get me wrong, but I was curious about stuff. And so I started researching it, trying to figure out. And along the line, I came across a brilliant man by the name of Robert Rapier, who he is a globally recognized oil and gas expert. And through him, I discovered a guy named Matt, who is Mr. Global, who is right over here in Oklahoma. And I listened to those guys, and through them, I learned how you can glean information from the IEA. And that is a good metric of how things are going. And you can see you can see through the IEA how all these things have happened. I mean, and if you think I'm full of shit, go look and see how many oil rigs we've lost since Trump took office. So, Chief Petty Officer, you think I'm full of shit? Is that what you're saying? I don't necessarily think that cheap oil and gas prices go hand in hand with that. But I don't think that cheap oil and gas prices go. I don't believe that cheap oil and I'm sorry, guys. I'm spitting egg out all over the place. My apologies. What I do think is that cheap oil and gas prices are not indicative of a booming economy. I will say that. I've never said that I took economics. I haven't. However, um, several economists that I've had on my panel have agreed with that notion as well. Well, in another instance as well, where this is going to hurt us is the trading of. Oh yeah, I don't care. It's a good conversation.
Is it though?
Well, I'm enjoying it.
Okay.
Hey, do you mind bringing my water in,
I don't mind.
please? I'm parched. Yeah, there's been 15 to 20% layoffs in ExxonMobil and some of these other large oil corporations. That affects our economy as well. Hey, thanks for the heart me. That affects our economy as well because think about the oil and gas worker that's out there, right? They're a blue collar position, but they're making a really good wage, right? So if these people are making a good wage and now all of a sudden they don't have that 150,000 a year coming in to put back into our economy, now what happens? Now we have less money going into our system, and slowly but surely our economy stops moving. It's not a flowing economy. To get biblical with you guys for a second, our cup runneth over, right? Why does our cup runneth over a good thing? Because that means that that water in that cup or whatever it is continuously flowing. It never becomes stagnant. Same thing with our economy. If we don't have economy, if our economy is not moving and it becomes stagnant, then it becomes a bad economy. Beatrice, I wish I knew more about the stock market. I really do. I don't really know how it will impact the stock market, to be honest with you. I would say as the prices of oil increase, and they will jump back, it absolutely does. Yes, I need Regil to come in and respond on the stock market because he's much more versed about that than I am. He's a friend of mine that's part of the Political Besties Network with us, but I will say this though, in regards to that, the cost to heat your homes and cool your homes is going to increase way faster than the gas at the pump. Anything that you're saving at the pump right now, you're going to make up for later on in your just heating and cooling your house, in your utilities. Those utility costs are going to skyrocket. And the main reason that they are is because what's kept our utility costs relatively low over the past several years has been the fact that when you're producing a lot of oil, you're also producing a lot of natural gas. And we've had a big surplus of natural gas. Well, if you look, Donald Trump back this summer made a deal with Japan to export natural gas over to them. Well, what does that do? That decreases the supply that we have over here. Yes, yes.
Hey, you guys keep liking and sharing out the live. I'm having to do dishes because this guy's in here and not in there where the dishes are.
I'm not doing dishes today.
So
Period.
my
Point
hands
blank.
are busy. Y'all are going to have to take over.
You know, we've been looking at mini splits. We priced a couple of them yesterday. As a matter of fact, we were just at the Home Depot, and I was like, I wonder how much they've got mini splits for, and they're relatively inexpensive, to be honest with you. Plants T is not doing the dishes today.
I love that idea.
Oh, we know you do. We know you do. So the issue with the data centers is also another big thing. It's counterintuitive. So for years, look, I'm going to say this for all the Democrats and everything that are saying, you know, that they want renewable energy sources. The big reason is they're not looking for a 0 point carbon emission. That's not what they're looking for. That's never been the goal. Sorry, Beatrice, it wasn't Home Depot. It was actually Sutherland's in Fort Smith. I don't know if you guys know what Sutherland's is, but it's a Home Depot type place. But specifically, it was that. Yeah. I hope so. Right. No, I agree with you, William. I mean, the guys came out openly and he said the quiet part out loud that he wants to, what does he want to do? He wants to get us back to the Gilded Age. Gilded. Not golden, gilded, the Gilded Age. And that's a terrible time in history for people like us, the working class people, right? But anyway, back in July 23rd, Trump announced a massive deal with Japan that includes reciprocal tariffs of 15% on the country's exports to the U.S. And that was where he also said they were selling a large majority. What part? Because I've been all up in that. Were you in the northwestern part or the southwestern part? I grew up on the southwestern part. I grew up in a little town called Dirks, Arkansas. Stillwell, I know. Yeah, see, I live in Fort Smith right now. Not Fort Smith. I live south of Fort Smith, but Fort Smith's the closest town you would know. And does anybody have a Sutherland's? I just want to know. Just curious. Sorry, super classic cars. I don't know why people are always trying to message me up and say battle me. I think it's because they are they just trying to get me off my game here? Well, it is for us too, Charm. Now I moved to Fort Smith back in '99, and then they're fools. I don't get the battling thing on TikTok. I don't. I know people. To me, it's just a grift. I'm going to be real with you. You know. Yeah, it is. I don't get it. They're just begging people to send gifts. Have I ever asked you guys to send me a gift? No. I have asked you to like my live. You've got me up to 50K. I appreciate it, guys. I think yesterday we hit 100K, and I was happy with that. I was great with it. I'm more interested in getting likes, you know. The only people making money is TikTok. Absolutely. I mean, the thing about it is when I get restrictions, it knocks down the amount of percent that I get from those, you know? I'm like, I don't really care. So then they're still taking the same amount. They're taking more of the money then because they're doing that. And then when you go to appeal a restriction, they're like, well, no, we stand by it. We stand by it. I've had my lives. Oh, thanks, William. I appreciate it, man. I don't know. I don't even put, I mean, my Cash App's on here, but I've never asked people to hit my Cash App up either. I have actually had a few people send me a little bit here and there, but I'm not promoting that. That was one of the reasons why it throws up a red flag for me when people are constantly saying, I need you to hit up my this, I need you to hit up my that. I need to look, if I'm going to hit anything up from you guys, all I want you to do is go check out my podcast. That's it. That's it. I've got a podcast. It's T-Dub Specials. It's good. I like it. I just wish more people would see it. What? Oh, come on. Quit that. This last episode that I did was with a creator on here, League of Militant Atheists. Super intelligent guy. He's hard to keep up with as far as the intelligence level. He's just got a beautiful brain. He really does. He's just a super intelligent guy with a plethora of information. And it was all I could do to keep up with him in the conversation. And he's one of the most intelligent people I've ever spoken with. And he's very well read. And he's a great guy, great human, but his demeanor is calm. He's fantastic. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. But yeah, that's the only thing I would peddle would be my podcast. If anybody knows Gunny Speaks Out, he's going to be my next guest. We're in the process of getting that scheduled out so we can make that content. He's going to be my next co-host on my podcast. And then I've been in contact with a couple of candidates. I'm trying to get Winston Jordan running for the 12th district in New Jersey, Bernard Taylor. I've already had Jasmine Thomas on. There is a lady running for a seat in Texas that I was in correspondence with this morning. So I'm trying to grow, trying to platform some different people out there. I love Jasmine Crockett. However, I fear that she's going to become compromised at some point. I love Tallarico. Theologically, we disagree, but I don't care because he's rowing in the same direction I am. He's fighting the fight. He's one of the Christians that I talk about all the time as far as fighting the good fight against Christian nationalism. I love Tallarico. I think he's fantastic because his message is legitimately the Beatitudes. It's Christ. It's the Sermon on the Mount. I fully believe that if Jesus were to come to this country today, he would flip the tables on the Circle Kirk. I fully believe he would go into the Heritage Foundation, and because those are the temples, the Heritage Foundation and Turning Point USA, those are the temples of the Christian nationalists. He would go into those temples and he would flip those tables on those people. And he would say, you are the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Why don't I think that Tallarico will be corrupted? Probably would. Um, I don't know. He's a man of principles. He's been offered the money so far. You know, there's a gentleman on this app. His name is Winston Jordan, and he is running for the 12th district in New Jersey. And he is running on a no donor campaign. He's not accepting any donor money from anybody. Thank you, Jamie. Hey, you helped me finish my goal there. Well, one of them. But yes, I appreciate that. He's running on a no donor campaign. He believes so fervently that money should be taken out of politics. He is becoming good. Jamie, don't you be spoiling me now. Thank you for my hat. I appreciate it. That's a super strong message for a campaign. And to be quite honest with you, he makes some really good points. He is saying literally that through social media and in the world that we live in today, why do you need all the donor money? Why can't you get if you've got a strong enough message, I can get it out through social media and I can get it out and get it platformed. Why can't someone do that? What's wrong with that? By the way, guys, I just want to let y'all know I am coming to you live on my backup account. I'm also live on YouTube, the tube of you, whatever, T-Dub specials, whatever. We do have a voice now. We do have social media. We do have the ability to go through and without paying a ton of money in ads. And look, he's not the only person that's doing that. That's why I'm wanting to have him on my podcast, is so I can get in with him and get more in depth into that. And look, I mean, every political candidate that I've had up on my panel, that I've had in my podcast or anything, they have been grassroots founded. Winston Jordan is an extreme case of that. But you were talking about Jasmine Crockett earlier. I fear that she has the potentiality of being corrupted. You know, her and who was it that came in? Was it her and AOC and a couple others that came in together? Right. And they all came in like, wow, guns blazing, hot, coming in hot. They were coming in grassroots and everything. We need more of that. Why is it that you think that Mamdani was being challenged from the left and the right so fervently? It's because he wasn't following their status quo. The problem I feel like is that the DNC and the GOP are such power machines. You've got to pay to play, and Winston Jordan is not running as a candidate for the DNC. He's not running for the GOP. Absolutely. So fast cheat, I'm going to say this. There's no such thing as a perfect candidate, right? I'm going to say that. However, based on situation, we need someone like Tallarico, who is a centrist, who can get people to come in behind him and vote. Do you see what I'm saying? If we've got somebody in here who is willing to challenge Christian nationalism, who is willing to come in and be a centrist, that's fine. Because we need good conservatives, we need good progressives, and we need good centrists. We need good people on all levels of that. And the reason that I say that is because we can't all be thinking the exact same thing. We can't all have the same thing in mind, because what happens is we leave zero room for nuance. We need people who have disagreements on some of these issues so that they can talk to one another, so that they can make the hard conversations to where they make progress that benefits all and not just some. And, and I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying there, Cheetah. I do. And it's a lot of it is the metrics, but here's the problem that I see. The problem is that people are too concerned with the letter beside other people's names. We're too concerned whether that guy is running as a Democrat or Republican, and we're not vetting these people properly. There's too many people. And look, I talk a lot about boomers and nothing but love for the boomers, but let's take them for instance. They are so driven by party lines. They are running party politics. They truly believe that just because the specific letter is by someone's name, that they're going to be working for them, even though past history proves that they're absolutely not working in your best interest. And they continue to do that. I think we need to be encouraging everyone to vote, because politics affects every aspect of our lives. It affects the roads we drive on, the food we eat, the air we breathe. Everything is triggered by politics, and you can't escape that. There's no way getting around that politics drives your life. I would love to see Texas flip. I would. And it's I don't know. They might. She is a strong voice and everything. I do worry about they're trying to throw money at her. You know what I mean? They're trying to buy her off. And it's hard when you reach a certain level. I feel like yeah, you're paying for air 100%. I feel like I think everybody eventually has a number, or not necessarily a number financially, but something that they're trying to do that hits a certain spot, you know? And so when they're trying to hit that certain spot, man, well, I promised my people I'd make sure this got done regardless of what it was. And then you can start kind of trying to compromise people. But still, again, though, that's why I preach. Let's stop looking at the letter beside their name. Let's look at the content of that person's character and who they are. I'm going to give you an example, and I preach on this every time I'm on this pulpit. But Tom Cotton received $1.5 million from AIPAC. Tom motherfucking Cotton received $1.5 million from AIPAC. Do you think he's working for the best interest of Arkansans? No. No, I don't think less of Crockett than I do Tallarico. Not at all. I will say this, though. America has proven over the past 3 election cycles that they do not want a woman to be commander-in-chief. Thank you, Beatrice. I appreciate it. And I voted for Harris. The issues that I had with Harris weren't actually Harris. It was the DNC in and of itself. Right? What did the DNC do? They sowed doubt. They sowed doubt. They made you question if Harris was truly the right person for the job, right? They wouldn't allow her to get up on a platform where she could shoot from the hip. They didn't allow her to be her true, authentic self. They made sure every question had been vetted and every answer vetted, and that she knew the script. And guess what? People read through that. People in today's world, we're not looking for a polished politician. What we're looking for is authenticity. If nothing more proves that, look at what we're looking at in the White House right now. People are looking for authenticity. The patriarchy is so deeply entrenched in this nation through Christianity and the other Abrahamic faiths It is very hard to get past the American exceptionalism that people fall back on that says, well, did I hear you think Kamala was smart? Well, I don't know, man. How many law degrees do you have? How many times have you been the district attorney of the biggest state economy in the United States? How many times have you been vice president? And if you sit there and you tell me that she got there just because she slept her way to the top, bro, let me tell you something. That's a lot of fucking, and nobody's fucking that much. If she wasn't an intelligent person, she wouldn't have got to all the places that she's been. Point blank, period. And when you come at me with a statement like that, saying that she just got there from doing this, I'm going to say that you have voided the intellectual part of the conversation. I can understand if somebody didn't vote for Harris based on specific policy, okay? But when you come at somebody and from a misogynistic standpoint of saying just because she's a woman, she must have slept her way to the top, you've lost credibility. And look, I'm not saying that you aren't a credible source, but what I'm saying is that makes you lose credibility. I have a Great Dane, and every morning he gets up and lays a cow patty in the middle of my backyard. I would have voted for said cow patty any day of the week before voting for Donald Trump. I've never voted for Trump. Thanks for the follows. But seriously, though, any day of the week. Absolutely. I'll take last Thursday's pile. I don't care. But to be honest with you, there is this so deeply ingrained patriarchy and an ideal of American exceptionalism to where America is so great that at no point in time could we have a woman be up there and represent us, because America is just too great. None of these other world leaders would talk to a woman. Really? Merkel didn't have a problem with leaders talking to her, right? The Iron Lady, Margaret Thatcher had zero problems with people coming to the table. You know what I mean, guys? That's the point that I'm trying to make. It doesn't matter if you have a woman as the president. World leaders are going to talk to Madam President with the utmost of respect. Why? Because she's Madam President of the United States of fucking America. That's why. That's why. There's Now, I didn't vote for Hillary. I'm just going to say this. I did not vote for Hillary. I didn't vote for Hillary. Matter of fact, I would never vote for Hillary. I would never vote for Trump. And unfortunately, those two people ran against each other in 2015, which led me to leave the DNC. Or 16, yeah. I said 15, didn't I? Well, so Suzanne, I'm from Arkansas, and I cannot stand the Clintons. Hey, Pink Nikki, what's up? Hey, you've watched my live for 100 minutes now. Thank you. Yeah, I just can't do it. Oh, thank you. Jay, what did you say? I don't know. I don't think I caught what you said, bud. Oh, West Helena. He's from the eastern part of the state. Yeah, I'm from the western, southwest part of the state. I grew up in a little town in southwest Arkansas. Hmm. Thank you for the roses, Jay. What was it you said, bud? I didn't catch that. I usually don't dodge questions. Yes, absolutely. How well are Democrats running things in Minnesota? I don't know. Donald Trump, was praising Minnesota at one point, and now I guess things are all bad. I don't know. I don't live in Minnesota. What do you mean? I mean, I don't know. I know Trump was praising him, you know. It was a while back though, so. Oh God, the My Pillow guy's running for governor of Minnesota. How embarrassing for that state. Yeah, dude. I think it's terrible. What was a joke about Waltz? So, I mean, what was it? I mean, Trump really did. I mean, I was just egging Jay on earlier when I said that, but Trump really did praise him for the way he handled the George Floyd situation and everything. Um, but to sit there and think that the My Pillow guy is a substantial leader, that somebody that's qualified to govern an entire state, I don't think so. You know, why would you call him that? Oh, thank you for that. I appreciate it. I usually get my news from Ground News. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you for joining my fan club. Hey, Anthony, another esteemed gentleman running for Congress in here, Florida 16th District, Mr. Anthony DeRibas. It's an independent news source. Thank you. No, I mean, here's the thing. We want to demonize anybody who has an ideological disagreement with us, and we can't do that. It's not healthy for our nation. Thank you for the hat. It's not healthy for our nation to sit there and go, because somebody is this, then they're all this, whatever. You know, only a Sith deals in absolutes. I say this all the time, but it's true. There's nuance to everything. There's nuance to everything, right? So to sit there and go, well, I'm just going to vote for this guy. Guy's a Democrat. He's evil. This guy's a Republican. He's a saint. That's not right. What we should be doing is we should be vetting people. We should be vetting the people that are running for public office, and we should vet them hard, because it's their job to. It is their job to earn our vote. And how do they earn our vote? Well, the first step they can do is make sure that they're not accepting money from places like APAC or these huge corporate donorships, right? Another thing is, it doesn't really matter. Party politics is over. guys. It is over. Not all Republicans are evil. Not all Democrats are evil. Same. You're against foreign-born people running our country. Okay. Votes equal money. They do. There, I've had the pleasure of having Anthony up here in my panel before. He's a very intelligent man. He's a very straightforward man. He's one of the kinds of people that you want to support. He's one of the kind of people that, he's one of the kinds of people that you need to go in there because he's voting to try to help everybody, not just himself. Again, I say, AIPAC gave Tom Cotton in Arkansas $1.5 million. For what? To help Arkansans? No, to help them. Whatever it is they need. Do they have a clear platform? Probably not, but it's whatever they need when they need it. And he'll vote that way. Why? Because they gave him $1.5 million. Now imagine if $1.5 million, 1.5 million people were to donate $5 a piece to Mr. DeRibas's campaign there. Do you think he's going to be more likely to vote for you or to work for you and vote in your best interest? Yeah. Now, taking it out now. Absolutely. Guys, these are the kinds of people that we need in office. But that's what I'm saying. You're going to walk into your voting booth come next November and you're going to vote strictly Republican all the way down. Is that what you're telling me? Without vetting to see where their money's coming from? Because let me tell you something. When AIPAC is paying the bills, AIPAC doesn't care if you got a R or D beside your name. Right? They don't care. Do the corporate donors care if you got an R or D beside your name? No, because they bought their vote. What you need to be doing is looking at these people and deciding who is actually running grassroots and trying to help your community. And that even goes into your local elections too. See, what you're pointing out is you're a one single voter. You're a one issue voter. You're letting less than 0.1% of the population dictate your vote. Yeah, don't wait, break rank. Get the money out of the politics now. Because again, Suzanne, and look, I see where you're coming from, but you have one issue that's very, very close to your heart, right? But you're letting that one thing. See, what you're listening to is a lot of propaganda. And it all deals with the trans community. When the trans community literally makes up less than 0.1% of the United States of America. Absolutely, you did, Jen and Larry. You did. So you're letting that affect. So you're wanting to make sure that you put people, regardless of what they truly believed, or regardless of who they're getting money from or anything like that, just because they have an R beside your name. Why did it hit media so hard? God, I don't know. Because they were manipulating you? Mary May, that's a good point. That really is. I mean, really, it is manipulation. I just feel like it's a very short-sighted approach, and I'm not trying to be mean to you. I'm just saying I don't understand why this is such a huge deal with you guys. I don't understand it. And look, I can't speak in regards to the trans community because I'm not trans. However, I will say this. What are your morals based on? And if you tell me that your morals are based on the Bible, I want you to tell me exactly where in the Bible it says that transgender is an abomination. So the biggest issue I have, Anthony, and you brought this up, and I'm going to go ahead and expound on that, is look, if we have a group of people who try to legislate morality, what this place turns into is an authoritarian theocracy, because you can't legislate your morality, because your morality and someone else's morality may be different. This is not a Christian nation. It was never established as a Christian nation, which means we've come full circle, because that's what this whole life started out being about. We can't do that. And so based on your morality is not a proper stance for a secular nation. This country was not based, this is not a Christian nation. And go ahead and tell me how the 13 original colonies had you had to be a Bible-believing Christian in order to serve in their government. Tell me that. Tell me all the talking points from the Jefferson Lies, because I've read it and you haven't. I'm just saying you're talking to someone who is educated on this subject right now. So I'm going to know which talking points you're coming from, and I'm going to know where they derive from. It doesn't say that this is a Christian nation. Again, I always fall back to Article 11 of the Treaty of Tripoli from 1797. It was signed by James Madison. The United States was never founded on the Christian religion. I am an atheist, but I was also a Christian for half of my life as well. But just because I'm a Christian or I'm an atheist doesn't mean that I don't support your right to be a Christian, because yeah. We do have, I defend sodomy and Gomorrah. I thought that it was terrible what God did to them too. Oh, sodomy, not Sodom. My bad. I don't know. He said 3 was the limit, so I'm going to go with him on that. Look, I mean, you can believe however you want to believe. You can believe all the lies you want to. You can be manipulated by Christian nationalists all you want to, right? But it doesn't take away the facts. The facts of the matter are is that if you look not only at our founding documents, the Constitution, if you look at the letters that the founding fathers wrote in correspondence with one another in regards to religion and this being a Christian nation, they actually had talked about it, and that was one of the things that they were fervently about. You know what, Chico Chicone, some maintenance guys are pretty smart. But, you think about it, they also had memoirs and diaries and journals that they wrote about. Right? Exactly. Yes, and if you read those things, then you realize that they never once wanted this to be a Christian nation. At no point. It was literally discussed. It was a big topic of conversation. And just like I read earlier, a gentleman in here talked about, what was it? Talked about Thomas Paine. And it sounded like he was saying that Thomas Paine was a Christian. He's not. That's right, man. That's right. Chico, yes. Dude, I love how you keep propping me up, man. Chico, what time is your next live stream? I want to be there. I used to until people would get up and cuss my wife and do things like that. So unless I know you, no, you're not coming up. I'm an actual successful person. What do you want to chat about? Hey, get a grip. Oh, are you somebody that thinks that this was found a Christian nation? I mean, look, I can only look at myself for so long, dude. I'll let my mod decide. Vet him, Rachel. Yeah, let him up then. Oh yeah, Naomers, I don't think you have mod power on this one. Hold on just a second. Hold on just a second. Let me. I forgot how to do this. Oh, settings. There it is. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Oh, Regiel's a moderator. Oh, okay. But yeah, man, if you want to come up, you can. You just got to request up.
No, he's not. Move on, Effie. He's a troll person. For real. What?
Chico Chicone is, dude, I commend you for that, man. I don't know why he keeps saying that I'm a Christian, though. I've made that abundantly clear, guys. I'm not a Christian, bro. Chico, I don't know what you're on, brother. You on that sauce again today? I thought we talked about that. I thought you said you were giving up the bottle. I thought you said it wasn't good for your health. Yeah, Anthony, the last time I had you on a panel, and Anthony, if you ever want to jump onto my panel, all you have to do is request up. You're always welcome. Um, I think it was you and I and Winston were up, and we were talking about those types of things. We were talking about the fact that we we're such an exceptional society that we're unable to have, universal health care for all. What do you mean for the real world for purpose? Thanks. But no, why can't we have that? I've never once said I was successful. No, I will. I'll say I'm a very successful person, and it depends on the metrics with which you measure success, right? Am I healthy? For the most part, for an insulin dependent diabetic, I feel like I'm exceptionally healthy. Do I have people who love me and support me? Absolutely, I do. I have a beautiful wife, smoking hot wife. I don't know if you've seen her, Chico, but she's a 10. I can pull dimes, brother. And I have 5 amazing kids, and I have 2 beautiful grandkids. So, yeah, I feel like I'm very successful. I've I'm going to ask you this: do you know anybody who was raised with a lot of money that isn't an absolute douchebag? Doesn't that sound like success, though? What do I do for a living? I argue with Chico Chacon on the internet, man. That's what I do. No, I don't make any money on this, dude. Look at me. I'm a small creator. I enjoy having good conversations with people. As far as my personal life goes, I'm a maintenance man, dude. I'm a maintenance man. That's it. I'm a maintenance man. That's all I do. I also own a business as well, small business. He was kind of spammy for entertainment purposes only. Yes. Look, I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy trying to bridge a gap between uh, the right and the left. There are people that are going to vehemently disagree with me, just like I'm going to disagree with them. Just like what was her name? Suzanne. Suzanne disagreed, and why? Because it's one thing: she's homophobic and transphobic. She's let her phobias dictate who she is as a person. She's allowed that to make her void of any nuance. She is a Sith. She is absolute. That's it. She's an absolutist. And only a Sith deals in absolutes. That was the entire point of her getting on here and conversating with everybody here, was to let all of us know exactly who she is. She's bigoted. Not specifically against someone because of the color of their skin, but she's bigoted against someone because of sexual orientation. Uh-oh, lightning thief just rolled in. So, yeah. And although I tried to be kind and reach out to her, just it's too much hate in her heart. Chops Bear, that's hilarious, man. So yeah, I mean, and look, I don't know all the things about that. I don't know all the things about the trans community. I don't know all the fluidity of you know, other people's sexuality. And to be honest with you, I don't want to. It's not bothering me. Chief Petty Officer, man, I thought you had slipped out of here for a second. What are you doing? Just lurking in the shadows? You probably had shit to do. I get it. I don't know why you didn't just join back in. I know we said some shit that triggered you a while ago. We had to have. No, I don't mind, man. Look, here's the thing. You're more than welcome to your opinion on that. As far as that goes, I will say this. I don't think that the trans community is an existential threat to our society. Yeah. I don't believe that it's an existential threat to our society. I believe that it is a very, very small, marginalized group of people. And I don't feel like it's my place to sit there and condemn someone for something I have absolutely no idea what they're going through. You know? And it absolutely doesn't affect me in any way, shape, or form. But when it does affect me, then I'll offer as much support as I possibly can to whomever it is that's supporting me. I have a very good friend of mine who transitioned, and I played basketball with this person, and they transitioned to a man, and they made a comment. They made a post on Facebook, said, "Look, I understand that a lot of you people," and look, she was a lesbian beforehand. We all knew that. Girl could hoop though, you know. She played with us in our little rec league and everything. I don't necessarily think that it's an ideology that's being pushed at that level. What I think it is what I think it is more so is just an awareness type deal, you know? Does that make sense? So when they transition from female to male, they made a post on Facebook letting everybody know, saying, look, if you want to unfriend me, if you want to do whatever it is, I'm totally understanding of that. I'm just wanting you to be aware this is what I'm doing and I'm choosing. And I respected that. And at no point did I say or feel that I could no longer be this person's friend. And I have seen him out now. I'm still friends with him on Snapchat. And I'll hit him up every now and then. Hey, how's it going? Blah, 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 you know. It doesn't affect me. You know? Acceptance is ideology. I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that. Let me ask you something. Do you support the 10 Commandments being in every classroom in America? Because that's always the argument I get when I talk against the 10 Commandments being in every classroom. That's always the argument I get. Hey, Journey. Thank you for the hat. So what you're saying is you think that they're good tenets, right? But the 10 Commandments, honestly, let's deconstruct those for a little bit. I mean, the first 5 of those basically deal with God's jealousy, right? What makes those good tenets? You know, the other 5 were pulled straight from Hammurabi's code. So why not just put Hammurabi's code up? Does that make sense? Why are we putting a noted religious artifact from a religion that predates Christianity? Why not just put Hammurabi's code up? If you think that those are good tenets to live by, oh no, I didn't say that those were. I didn't say that those were, but thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not take the Lord thy God's name in vain. That's dealing with jealousy right there, right? I mean, that makes sense though, right? Vain is propaganda of God used for greed. Yeah, right. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. You should not make of yourself a carved image. What is that even about? That's important. Remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. That's a good tenet to teach kids. That teaches them moral duty and stuff, right? I mean, you can see how it's kind of ridiculous to have those up in a classroom. Shall not lie, shall not commit adultery, shall not murder. Maintaining the Sabbath is good principles for everybody to adhere to. I mean, I get the don't bear false witness, i.e., don't lie, don't covet, you know, don't kill, don't steal. I get those. But remember the Sabbath day, keep it holy. Don't take the Lord God's name in vain. Don't make a graven image of God. Don't have any other gods before me. What do you mean my definition of maintaining the Sabbath is different from yours? I just don't see where it's advantageous of us. They're different for everyone. Explain to me what that means. What is different for everyone? I don't understand. Are you talking to me, Chief? Maintain the Sabbath? Yeah. I mean, Seventh Day Adventists believe that Saturday is the holy day. A lot of Jewish sects believe that Saturday is the Sabbath. Some believe it's Friday. I mean, so in a secular nation, in a secular school system, why would we have to maintain any Sabbath? Why would we have to honor the Sabbath and keep it holy? That's where I'm confused by that, because I don't see where that has any bearing on how good of a person we want these children to become. Since you're okay with a Judaic religious doctrine being put up in a classroom, let's take one from roughly the same time frame and let's put up the Mahabharata. Can we put up some tenets from it? Would you be okay with that? So as long as they respect that there is a creator, right? Yeah. What if you don't want your kids in a public school not to worship your job? No, applesauce is not my full-time job. Well, people disagree because it's a publicly funded service, right? Public schools. It's publicly funded, and for you to put up um, a religious document on and mandate that it be put up in a public school system, that's a violation of the Establishment Clause. Yeah, we're fixing to head to the gym, brother. I know, but to get there, we've got to go to the outside. No, I mean, look, it's precedent that was set up. Stone versus Graham, 1980, Supreme Court case, established that mandating the Ten Commandments in every classroom is a violation of the Establishment Clause. And I understand we had a different SCOTUS back then. All right, guys, I'm on here for 10 more minutes. Give me your worst. Man-made laws don't always help the world or worship of the Creator, and I say Creator. I know, but what I'm saying is that really, to be honest with you, there are better things that we could say, we could put on there that were more indicative of a Creator outside of those 10 commandments, right? The last 10 commandments that we talked about earlier, those are stripped from Hammurabi's code. They are. And Hammurabi's code predates that roughly 800, 900 years. Why not put the Beatitudes up there? Maybe the Sermon on the Mount. That might be more fitting. It does depend on the gym, brother. Our current gym, that's probably an accurate number. But anyway, look, and I mean, we can argue this for a while, though, right? But that being said, guys, I am going to go ahead and get off here. I just realized what time it was. The core principles in good faith, whatever your religion. Yeah, but it's still the religion that they came from. So that's why it's indicative that we don't put those up, because it is establishing one religion over another, saying these core principles of this religion are good. So we should all listen to those. Can't really do that. That's a violation of the Establishment Clause. But hey, listen, guys, I just realized it's after 1 o'clock. I need to get off here and get my pre-workout meal in and get to the gym. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys just sitting in here listening to me rattle on. I love the conversations. Petty Officer, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you coming in. Enjoyed talking with you guys today. And if you could, give me a follow. I appreciate all the likes. If you guys get a chance, check out my YouTube channel. I've got a couple of podcasts up there. I've got some more in the works that are coming. My latest podcast with the League of Militant Atheists is very educational. I would love for you guys to check it out. And remember, guys, just because we disagree doesn't mean we're enemies. Keep being neighbors to each other. We'll be all right. Ooh, are you in the bathroom?